Hi guys, my name is Bex and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to go through the books that I read in the month of July. So in the month of July, I ended up reading 5 books and 2 graphic novels, and I'm so excited to be actually reading a lot. Now that my uni degree is finished, I can actually sit down and take time to read some amazing books, and holy shit, there were some amazing ones this month. The first book I read in the month of July was A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. It is book 2 in the Shades of Magic trilogy, and I absolutely loved A Gathering of Shadows. I think I gave A Darker Shade of Magic a 3 out of 5 stars, but I bumped A Gathering of Shadows up to 5 out of 5 stars because it was just so much better than I expected. It's normally so hard to do synopsis for book 2 in trilogy, so basically A Gathering of Shadow follows straight on from A Darker Shade of Magic. I think there is about a 4-month lag from the end of that book to the start of this one, and it follows our wonderful main character Kel as he gets over what happened in A Darker Shade of Magic, and we also get to catch up with Lila and Rye, and we have some amazing new characters entering in this one, and basically there's a Mage tournament going on in this book, and it is absolutely fantastic, but as usual, there's a lot more to this book than I can tell you, but yes, I absolutely loved it. It's all about magic adventure. There's so much sass in it, and Elemental Tournament is all anyone should really need to say for you to pick this one right up. The next book I got my hands on in the month of July was New World Ashes by Jennifer Wilson, and I read New World Rising, I think last month, and I ordered this one straight away because I freaking loved it. New World Ashes follows directly on from what happened in New World Rising, and it picks up with our character Phoenix, who is in, you know, a not really good place. So it's really exciting, and I gave New World Ashes a 4 out of 5 stars, so I did dock it a little bit from the first one. It just didn't have the same punch that New World Rising had. But New World Ashes is still an epic dystopian, which is entertaining and filled with action-packed storylines and fantastic characters, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm a little bit obsessed with this series, and I cannot wait for New World Inferno to come out so I can get my hands on it, and I believe it comes out in September, so keep an eye out if you're interested in this one, but I definitely recommend the New World Rising trilogy. I have a book talk on the first book, which I will leave up at the top here and down in the comments, so definitely go check it out to hear my non-spoilery thoughts and see if you'd like to pick it up. Moving on to the third book that I read in the month of July, and that is Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna Maguire, and this book was really interesting. I ended up giving it a 3.75 out of 5 stars, and this book basically follows the kids that go into magical lands, but then come back to reality and can't assimilate back into society, I guess, after they've seen all these magical things and lived magical lives. So this follows our main character Nancy as she is entered into a school for wayward children and meets a principal and heaps of children that kinda understand what she is going through just coming back from her magical world. So all these children have been through various doors, and when Nancy comes into their society, people start dying. So this is a story, it's actually a really short novel. So it is 170 pages and I really enjoyed it. It has beautiful narration and amazing fairy tale worlds. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it was slightly strange. There were a few things that did fall short for me on this one, unfortunately, but it was a quick read and I can't wait to continue on with this series. I'm definitely going to pick up the next novel, which is separate but does follow 2 characters before what happens in this book. The next book I read was The Wicked and the Divine by Gillian McClevey and Wilson Cowles, so that's really fun, and I can't put it up because my lighting goes funny, but here it is. So this was volume 1 and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and it's really hard to explain what it is about. It's basically about gods that keep getting reincarnated into the world and a girl who is absolutely obsessed with them, but it is absolutely brutal. It was a really interesting read and I actually really enjoyed it, so I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The artwork was bright and beautiful, and the storyline kept me guessing. So I definitely want to pick up the next one in this book and see how much I like it as the series continues. My next read of July was Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman, and I was lucky enough to receive this one in a giveaway that Kaz from the Little Book Hour was hosting with Bloomsbury, and I freaking absolutely loved it. I ended up giving Norse Mythology a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was interesting, informative, and beautifully written. So Norse mythology follows Thor and Odin and Loki, some of our favorite characters from the Avengers, of course, and from the comic books. It kind of gives you a start to end of the world and little interesting bits about what happened during their life, I guess. So basically we go from the beginning of time and how things were created in this world to the end, which is Ragnarok. Unfortunately for this book, it let me down a little bit because I ended up being really disappointed in the gods. That was kind of the only fault I had with it, and you know, you just think that Thor and Odin and all the gods were they were good and they were pure, but this shows kind of a different side to them and their like deceptive side, which was really interesting to read, but it was disappointing to my soul, if you know what I mean. But I would like to thank Kaz for giving me a chance to read this one. I really enjoyed it, even if they did disappoint me a little bit in some of these tales. But yeah, it's basically short stories Neil has written, and yeah, it was really entertaining, and the cover, it's just brilliant. It's just brilliant. The next graphic novel I ended up finishing was Saga Volume 2 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, and this volume I think was so much better than the first volume. The first volume seemed to let me down a little bit disappointed with what I got, but Volume 2 really stepped it up. I really started to connect to the characters and enjoy this book so much more. I ended up laughing and just really immersing myself into this read. Saga follows Marco and Lana, and it's basically told through narration through their child, and their family is basically on the run because they are from two different planets who are fighting. Their love and their daughter is basically illegal, so you know, that's fun. It causes a whole lot of shit, and there's assassins following them and armies, and yeah, we got a little insight into this one, into Marco's background and his family, so that was really entertaining, and yeah, I ended up loving it and giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. And last but not least today, the last book I read in the month of July was Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Pierre from Pierre Ford recommended this one, and honestly, it was the best thing ever. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It was a brilliant dystopian with kick-ass characters, and it took me on an emotional journey, and I absolutely loved it. So this series follows Darrow, who is a Red, in a world where Red are basically the slaves. They are right down the bottom of the food chain. This follows them. They mine underground for the other colors because they are told that this is their job and that they are the pioneers to make the world safer for them. Little did they know that the other colors reached the surface years ago, and they're basically slaves down there. So this follows Darrow, who goes through a little bit of a change in the beginning of this book, and he is basically the rebellion for this one. So he is going to go up against the Golds who run the society, and I really enjoyed this. Darrow is such a good character to follow, and there are such awesome side characters like Severo and Mustang, but yeah, really entertaining, and I cannot wait to dive into Golden Sun, which is book 2. Also, I might just want to add, like, Pierce Brown's hot. If you haven't seen him, look him up. He's very good to look at. That is it from me today, guys. So I ended up getting through 5 books and 2 graphic novels, and I absolutely enjoyed my reading month. And hopefully I can just keep powering through my reading and bring you some amazing books in August as well. That's all from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this wrap up. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more or have not already, and chat to me down in the comments about the books that you read in July, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on them. That's all from me today, guys. I will chat to you really soon. Bye!